In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful.
There is nothing inherent in Islamic teachings that would deny the rights of other religious and ideological groups. Muslims have freely debated atheists, debated members of other religious communities. They've been able to flourish in Muslim societies. In the pre-modern world, Muslims, Christians, Jews, Hindus in the Indian subcontinents for large periods of time, sometimes there were breakdowns, undeniably. But they were able to peacefully coexist in Palestine. They were able to peacefully coexist in the Balkans, in Macedonia, in Bosnia, in Albania. They were able to peacefully coexist in Turkey under the auspices of the Millet system. They were able to peacefully coexist in the Iberian Peninsula, present-day Spain and Portugal, for long periods of times. And again, there were periods of fanaticism, but they were able to do it. They have not been able to do it under secular rule in any of those places. Turkey being a notable exception, overwhelmingly Muslims. They haven't been able to do it in the Balkans under secularism, as we saw in the 90s. They haven't been able to do it in Palestine, as we've seen from the earlier part of the 20th century until this day. They haven't been able to do it in Spain, as we've seen in the total eradication of Muslims by the very Christians who were free to practice their religion under Muslim rule. So there's nothing inherent in Islam to prevent different religions and holders of different ideologies from existing. Even atheists. Abu al-Ala al-Ma'ari was an atheist. By all accounts, he was able to put his poetry out there, to ridicule religion, and many, many others. So now when those phenomenon became the formation, the basis of identity politics, and then as identity politics sought to impose themselves on the polity, then those were periods where you saw tension. But generally speaking, as a general rule, there's absolutely nothing inherent in Islam to prevent that peaceful coexistence. And also Muslims, we learn from history how Muslims envisioned politics, the relationship between rulers and the ruled, evolved over time. What was happening in Medina and how Muslims understood that differed from what was happening in the realm of the Umayyads, and that differed from what was happening in the realm of the Abbasids, and that differed from what was happening in the realms of the Mamluks. They're different according to the orientation of society. What happened when Islam moved into Southeast Asia, into Malaysia and Indonesia, and how Muslims perceived minorities, etc., different from what was happening in Africa. Gender roles reflected in areas that were predominantly matriarchal and matrilineal. Those areas, when they became Muslim societies, women continued to have a very prominent role in society. Those areas that were predominantly patriarchal and patrilineal, they had different patterns of gender relations than in those societies that were matrilineal and matriarchal. So Islam covers a vast array of people and cultures, races, ethnicities, and within that there is a vast difference in terms of how these issues have played themselves out historically. But generally speaking, in all of those societies, as this data indicates, is still the case today. There's nothing to prevent that.